What's up? I'm B and welcome to my channel. It has been like 2 weeks since I posted a video and I've been basically MIA on Instagram stories. It's all odd, but I needed a little bit of a break. I won't go too deep into it now. We'll chat about it at the end because y'all are here for an update on Brittany Dawn. And I have a few for you. We've got some things going on in the world of B Dawn Fit, Brittany Dawn, the Nelson family, whatever you want to call her, some things are happening. And so first and foremost, we do have a trial date set. It is going to be in March of 2023 that the state of Texas will essentially be taking Brittany Dawn to court for all of the things that she's been accused of. I feel like it's going to be really hard to wait that long, but we gotta wait, we gotta let things follow in whatever timeline they're going to follow in, and I just hope that people don't forget about the impact that her actions had on the people she harmed while we wait for this trial by jury to start. Second thing that I want to address about Brittany that I'm not going to go very deep into just because I don't feel like it's my place to speak on it. Brittany has kind of entered into a new era of content creation where she's appealing to kind of the infertility niche on Instagram, and it makes me very uncomfortable. She's made several claims about how she thought she was pregnant and then she ended up not being pregnant, and then it got changed to, well, it was a chemical miscarriage, and now she's really playing up this whole like, it's so devastating to not be pregnant, but I know it'll all happen in God's timing, and she's posting a lot of content about that. My first thought is like, well, she usually leans into a grift, so I'm not quite sure how truthful anything regarding infertility is for her. You know, I'm skeptical, I have my doubts. However, I personally don't feel comfortable speculating on people's real, perceived, feigned, whatever it may be, health issues. That's just not really my thing. And so you can look into it. I'm making you aware that this is a shift in her content that might raise some eyebrows. However, I will not be doing like a deep dive or a lot of coverage on it because again, it doesn't feel like it's my place to speak on somebody else's body. The third thing I want to talk about is her most recent one-day event because I feel like it's really interesting. This one I have some mixed feelings about because a BuzzFeed journalist, Kelsey Weekman, did end up going in person, and so I want to read parts of her article that she wrote about it. It seemed like there were some positive things and some negative things, but she has a story highlight related to this on Instagram. It's really interesting because most of it, if you open it up and you look at it, is kind of like behind the scenes stuff, and there's only 13 or 14 stories contained in this highlight, and it all kind of just seems to be like promoing like, here's what's here, as opposed to showing stories of transformations that occurred in the attendees or like reposting things from people who went and had great things to say about it, especially when you compare it to the last She Lives Freed retreat highlight that she has. There is a ton of stuff on here. And yes, this is also very much behind the scenes content, but there's so many more stories contained in this highlight. And here we go. We have somebody speaking about the event. We've got posts from other people. We've got lots of videos. We've got lots of footage of the attendees. And so while I don't think any of her retreats are up my alley, I don't think they're anything that I would recommend somebody else going to. These stories seem more along the lines of what I would expect from somebody posting about a retreat or a conference that they had. There's a ton more contained in that highlight, but we're really not analyzing it, and so I don't feel like you need to see everything in there. But let's go ahead and get to this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I would highly recommend you go read it because it's a really interesting article, and it was really cool to hear Kelsey's perspective on the entire experience. But there were just a few pieces from the article that I wanted to kind of pick out and talk about. Okay, so as you can see, this was posted on May 5th, and the title is, I went to former fitness influencer Brittany Dawn's conference, and I guess I understand her now. Fellow attendees told me they were ready to, quote unquote, get wrecked. So Kelsey begins by just giving some background on Brittany Dawn, talking about people waiting in line to enter. And one of my favorite little snippets is Davis is one of the, because her name is Brittany Dawn Davis, Davis is one of the most popular Christian influencers on social media. Neither a parent blogger nor a hypebeast pastor, she's carved out a niche sharing religious platitudes about how modesty ensures you are a woman of mystery and how marriage should make you feel alive. She's also being sued by the state of Texas for deceptive business practices from her time working as a fitness influencer. Love it. So then Kelsey talks about the setting, how it was decorated, how it was kind of advertised to the attendees. And then she says, within moments of entering, Brianna Marines, one of Davis's volunteers, told me through a smile that she knew I was a journalist and was happy I was there to encounter the Lord. But if I made people feel uncomfortable, I'd be relegated to the back of the room. In the great tradition of Southern Christian women before me, I warmly thanked her for their generosity in letting me attend an event I'd bought a $125 ticket for. I think that's hilarious, but on a real note, I'm glad that they let her stay. I mean, it's Brittany Dawn's event. I'm sure if she wanted somebody to leave just because they'd written about her in the past, she could have asked her to leave. She could have said, you're not allowed to be here, but she probably knows that that would not be a good look, because can you imagine a reporter or a journalist saying, like, I bought a ticket to this, I wanted to go check it out in good faith, and I was kicked out. What does that tell you about what's going on there? So, smart move on Brittany's end to just go up, encounter, or have a volunteer encounter her, and then Brittany later does go and introduce herself. So, smart thinking on their end. Later in the article, Kelsey says, I talked to dozens of my fellow guests, none of whom wanted to be identified in an article, but they spoke about finding Davis on social media, either by seeking out a Christian presence online or stumbling upon her reels on Instagram's Explore page. Many said they were impressed by her bravery in posting about her faith. No one wanted to talk about Davis's past. Which surprised me because their guiding religious text is loaded with reformed murderers, Moses and David, cheaters, Abraham, Christian killers, Paul, playboys, much of the Old Testament, liars, Peter, and scammers, Matthew. That's the whole thing about the Bible. Everyone sucks but Jesus. The bad things people have done become part of a redemption story that reflects the restorative love of God. I think we're painting with a little bit of a broad stroke here, saying that's the thing about the Bible, like everyone sucks but God. However, the Bible is filled with flawed humans, and that's kind of the point. We all have flaws, we all make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that we're irredeemable. Having a sketchy past, or making a mistake, or making the choice that you know is wrong and you choose to make that choice anyway, doesn't disqualify you from redemption. It doesn't mean that you can't use your life story for good. It does not mean that you can't be a leader. It shows that we are all human. We do all have these mistakes, and so we should be working, if you align with the Christian ideology, if you want to be a Christian, we should recognize that we all do have that past, but we don't let it stop us from moving forward and trying to live like Jesus would and lead other people to Jesus through the way we live our lives and through our actions. And I've said this before, I feel like Brittany doesn't talk about her scammy past in the fitness world because she knows it's a less socially acceptable sin. You know, she talks a lot about how she used to not be modest, or how she has had sexual relations outside of marriage, and like those are sins that she's been washed clean from and she's moving forward. And I feel like she does that because that's a sin that people can easily identify with. There's plenty of people out there who will be like, oh yeah, I used to dress for the attention of men as opposed to what I felt was actually modest, or yes, I've had, physical relationships I regret, and so I identify with you and I can see you as somebody that I can look up to because I can relate to you. However, how many of us have created a business and lied to our customers on purpose and taken their money in bad faith? not many people, and so it's a little bit harder to identify with somebody if they admit to doing that, and you might just hear that story and be like, oh, you're not a great person. Like, cool if you changed, great, hope you made it right, but probably not somebody that I'm going to spend a lot of time taking advice from. Kelsey then goes on to talk about some of her past experiences with church and religion and just some things that she's noticing throughout the course of the conference. Then she says, and then I had my own version of a vision. Davis tapped me on the shoulder. I just wanted to make sure you were having a good time, she told me. She knew exactly who I was, even if she had ignored every request for comment I've sent her. And I was. Lots of beautiful women were complimenting me. Women were preaching instead of being banished to childcare and hospitality duties, in sharp contrast with many of the religious events I've attended in the past. I told her that I wanted to speak with her about her journey as a Christian influencer. Under an enormous fan of fake eyelashes, her blue eyes remained locked on mine. 3 years ago on Valentine's Day, I tried to take my own life, she said, smiling. Now that's something I need more info on. I need more context on. I don't quite understand why that was her response to wanting to hear more about her journey as a Christian influencer, to say that with a smile on your face. I think maybe it was some kind of tactic of, if I say something really shocking that's also going to make you feel bad for me, maybe you won't push me to answer some of the harder or ickier questions that you want to ask. You know, you won't keep pushing me because I've said this thing that's hopefully going to make you feel empathy for me. And of course, I mean, most people do not want anyone to die by suicide. That's a really devastating thing. And so I think for a lot of people, if you hear that, you would say, okay, I can't push on this anymore because I don't want anything bad to happen to this person and I don't want to play a role in any of it. However, it does seem a little bit manipulative that that was her response. 2 days before the conference, she posted a TikTok referencing it. The first time I had seen her say anything about suicidal ideation, but as she hinted that an interview would be unlikely, I submitted a stack of questions for her public Q&A panel instead. Through anonymous note cards, I asked Davis to address the reason she never talks about her fitness scandal. That's not who I am anymore. And share her feelings about being canceled online. You cannot cancel what God has called, she said, to thunderous applause. I am sure we will see her tweet that soon. It makes sense that you would not want to talk to people who have paid you for something they saw on social media about another bunch of people who got pretty mad about something they saw on social media and paid you money for. On the nose. Then a few paragraphs later, Kelsey writes, then Marines, the woman who had cautioned me about being a misbehaving journalist, took the microphone. Someone had asked a question about how to tell if the voice in your head belongs to you or God. Pentecostals place an emphasis on the spiritual gifts of the Holy Spirit, like prophesying. Maureen said she had been overcome by the Holy Spirit and received a prophecy from God that a woman in the audience, at whom she pointed, should start a business. That didn't exactly answer the question, but not long after, a male member of the ministry team took the microphone and said God only tells us good things, like that we're beautiful and that He loves us, which moved the crowd to another round of thunderous applause. Now, here's where things are going to get a little bit sticky for me, because I'm all for like everybody believing what they want to believe. You do you, as long as you don't hurt yourself or somebody else. But I just flat out disagree with that sentiment, that God only tells us good things, like that we are beautiful and that He loves us. God does tell us that He loves us, but God will also convict you when you are wrong. God will tell you, you made a bad choice. You made the wrong decision there. What you're acting like now, or the things that you're doing, the things that you're engaging in, are not okay, and you need to stop doing them. If you've never had like a gut feeling, because, you know, listening to God or hearing God can come in a multitude of different ways, but if you've never had like that gut check feeling of like, I just screwed up, you're not listening hard enough, God will tell you things that you don't want to hear because He's calling you out and kind of calling you up into righteousness, into behaving in a way that if you're a Christian, you should be behaving in. Now, God will never tell you like you're ugly and you're a terrible person and you don't deserve love. If you ever hear anything like that, or if you ever feel anything like that, that does not come from the divine. But it's kind of naive and misleading, in my opinion, to say, like, God will only tell you nice things, like that you're beautiful and that He loves you, because that is setting you up for a very, very shallow foundation of your faith. You know, it just kind of sets you up to not really want to do the digging to understand the complexities of Christianity, which I think are like the best parts, when you can dig and be analytical and you can find all that information and you can read different source material and kind of, parse through those things to be like, what logically makes sense and what do I have to rely on my faith for? And if somebody says this and it doesn't align with what I believe, am I still strong in what I feel and what I know? Or do I crumble? Does that make sense? I feel like if you just give people these really nice, light platitudes, their faith is going to be a little bit shaky, and it'll be one of those things where maybe something goes wrong, and it's really easy for them to abandon something that they once found a lot of comfort in because they weren't quite ready for the hardships that are going to continue to happen in your life, even though you're a Christian. Being a Christian doesn't mean that like nothing bad will ever happen to you again. It just means you're not alone and you have hopefully a community, but definitely a God to turn to when you need strength. Kelsey then goes on to say that all throughout the day, people had been approaching her and engaging in conversations with her, telling her that God had a message for her that He was going to, send through them. And all the things were, very nice, but did not seem specific to her life. Like they could have been for anybody. And then she says it was also extremely similar to the kind of spirituality that is in vogue on TikTok right now. A mix of Christianity combined with New Age vibes, manifesting, and a large number of conspiracy theories. Davis's pivot to this brand of Christianity suddenly made sense. I had always wondered why she didn't use her past as part of her message, evangelical speak for sales pitch, and I realized that it wasn't necessary. Davis's posts about Christianity aren't formal. She hasn't attended seminary school, and she only sometimes uses religious texts. It's more of an aesthetically pleasing guide to happiness that encourages supernatural encounters and affirmations. Her Christianity brand is digestible, social media friendly, and easy to share with others, and the woman I met seemed thrilled to share it with her. Then Davis baptized about a dozen people in what she later confirmed on Instagram was a horse feeding trough. That's a choice. Even more knelt in front of the stage to get baptized in the Spirit and receive their prayer language, aka speak in an unintelligible tongue, before lining up for a dinner catered by Chipotle. I stayed in my seat, exhausted from 10 hours of smiling and swaying, hoping people would think I was praying and not slowly morphing into a tornado of swirling skepticism. Afterward, attendees raved on social media about how bold and powerful the event was and how people were delivered from witchcraft and depression. They were emotionally wrecked and said that it was proof God had done something amazing through all the hours of dancing, meditation, and affirmation. Often we find community online, and sometimes we find it dancing with strangers, and I've found it in both those places many times, although mine is usually Twitter and a sweaty bar. I'd wanted to better understand how Christianity gets shared and changed online, and while I can't bank my life on a system that relies on vibes and vague prophecies from strangers with some Bible verses sprinkled in on Canva-designed Instagram posts as a guide on how to live, I'm happy for people who do, and the woman talking excitedly with me about how much they love Davis's message seemed to have gotten something out of it. For an influencer wanting to rebrand themselves after a scandal, religious content taps into the good faith of forgiving people and doesn't require years of schooling. Just passion and confident delivery that you have received messages directly from God. One day after the event, Davis declared all of hell is shaking right now in her Instagram recap of She Lives Freed, and who am I to say it's untrue? And that's the thing, because like I said, I am all for letting people do what they want to do. You do you believe what you want to believe, you have your faith in the way that works best for you. However, I am always skeptical of people being leaders because they are popular on Instagram. There's you flick a nickel in the air, you're going to hit at least one manifestation or spirituality coach. There are so many people out here offering coaching, guidance, leadership on subjects that they don't necessarily have the qualifications to offer those things on. We have fitness coaches like Brittany used to be. We have spirituality coaches. We have business coaches. We have copywriting coaches. We have lifestyle, weight loss, religion, all of these things. Everybody's a coach these days. Everybody has an evergreen course. Everybody has a sales funnel. There are so many people proclaiming to be experts in certain fields, maybe because they know a little bit about something, or because they had some success in something, or because they have a good idea and they're like, well, if I can just get people to pay me for it, then I'll get it off the ground and we'll be off to the races. And so I think it's really, really important to be skeptical of the people who you allow to lead you. And look, I know most people watching my channel are already on the side of not liking Brittany Dawn, so you don't need to hear that message. But I do think it's important to keep talking about people who maybe aren't of the highest integrity in order to spread that message and just encourage other people to be skeptical. At the end of the day, I can't make anybody question the same people that I question or change their mind about somebody if they really like them. All I can do is present the information and give my opinion and hope that there are some people who are willing to just maybe open their mind a little bit and just really try and be discerning in who they're following, because maybe they don't know about Brittany's past, or they don't know about the things that she's done, and they're taking her at her word. They're saying like, this is an amazing leader, this is a great religious leader that I can follow, and it feels so good to like see somebody that they can identify with, that feels accessible to them, that maybe it's a little bit easier for them to be led astray. So that's why I wanted to give a little bit of an update. I wanted to read some of Kelsey's article. Again, I would highly recommend going and reading the whole thing for yourself. It was really interesting, and it will be linked down below. Okay, now that the main content of the video is out there, we can have a little bit of a chat. I didn't want to put too much about this at the beginning, because if you're not a regular subscriber of my channel, and maybe even if you are, you might not really care about my personal life. So I was like, I'll save it. I'll save you the trouble of skipping through it or closing out of the video in the beginning, and we'll chat about it at the end. So past 2 weeks have just been not even chaotic, but kind of exhausting just with work. I've got a lot going on there. I spoke about this on my Instagram stories. I was taking this, it's not like a leadership class, it's called Skills for Success. If you work in a corporate job and they like encourage continued education, you might have heard of it. It's from Dale Carnegie. Anyway, it was an amazing class. I learned a lot, but it also took up a lot of time, and I did not have any backup on my regular job functions, and so it has just been an exhausting few weeks. And then Mother's Day happened, and so I went to dinner with my mom and my sisters, and we had a really great time. And then my nephews were in a parade at Chase Field. They're in Little League, and so our family went, watched them do their parade around the field, and then we watched the game, and it was just really nice to be able to do that and really just kind of take a step back, because as much as I love YouTube, I was like, I just need a minute. And I was kind of surprised that this was the time in which I needed a minute, because 2021 was the most chaotic year that I've ever had. And even through all of that, through doing kinship foster care, through changing jobs, through going through everything that I went through last year, I think I took like a month off, maybe like a month and a half. And then after that, I was back to posting weekly, at least consistently. And so when I kind of hit a wall last week and I was like, I just can't make a video right now, I was really surprised, because I'm like, look at everything you went through and you still were doing videos weekly. Like, what's going on? And I think at this point, it's just like the adrenaline's kind of come down from the hardest year of my life. And so before, where I was just like, we just got to keep pushing, we got to keep pressing. If I stop, I'll drown. I'm like a shark. Like, I need to keep moving. Now at this point, I'm like, it's okay to rest. It's okay to take a little bit of time, take a step back, just, make sure that you are taking care of you, and avoid the burnout. So that's what I did, but I am back. I am ready. The other thing I did was watch like 4 seasons of Dance Moms. Terrible show. Like any reality show that involves kids and encourages chaos is very suspect. But for some reason, I just got hooked on it. I don't know what it is. I think it's the moms, because I don't even really care about dance. It's just the drama and like all of this infighting. And I always see suggestions on YouTube for like supercuts of dance moms and like dance moms best fights. And I remember there was that video going around of the lady being like, you teach theater etiquette, put your phone away, when they were at a recital. And then Abby backing up and being like, I think I'm gonna go to Baskin Robbins. And then she goes to the police station. It's chaos and it's ridiculous. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's probably bad on me for watching so much of it and for continuing to watch it, because I know I'm going to keep watching it. But it got its hooks in me. That show did. I don't know what to say. But that is all I've got for now. Let me know what you thought of this video, what you think of the recent updates on Brittany Dawn, and let me know what kind of content you want to see on this channel. I really have enjoyed doing the past 2 interviews that I did. I did one with Kia's World and then one with Sincerely Sharon, and they were just super fun. So if you liked seeing those and you want to see more, definitely let me know who you would like to see me interview on my channel in the comments down below, along with suggestions for any other content that you would like to see me cover on this channel. I've gotten requests to cover the Depp Heard trial, and I'm just gonna say it right now, I cannot do that. I do not have the depth or breadth of knowledge to even remotely cover that in a responsible way. I would highly recommend watching like legal YouTubers or YouTubers who are lawyers. That's going to be the same thing with once the Brittany Dawn trial starts happening. Like, maybe I'll give some high-level overviews of whatever is going on, but in terms of like the actual nitty-gritty details, I will not be qualified for that either. So I hate to like turn down a suggestion when somebody says like, oh, I would like to see you talk about this. It always makes me feel bad to then not do that, because I'm so appreciative that you're watching my content and you want to hear me talk about it. But I think I also have to be responsible in the kind of content that I create, and admit when I don't have the qualifications or knowledge necessary to speak on something in a responsible way. So I feel bad, but that is a topic that I cannot cover on my channel. But if there's other stuff you want to hear, stuff related to religion, self-help influencers, scams going on, businesses that are, you know, taking advantage of their customers, anything in that sphere is much more in my wheelhouse. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. While you're leaving your comments, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. And if you have subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you. Thank you for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.